Looks like poutine, it smells like poutine. Okay, not bad. My name is Steve Reverend. I'm originally from France. I've been living here in Prague for 14 years now. I think I have to add the years more, but now it's like 14 years. And I'm a film producer now in Prague, and also I'm working at Prague Film School, but I used to be a student at Prague Film School. I'm still a student at Prague Film School, so I keep learning every day. I was studying in England before coming to Prague, and I was looking for a film program that would be rather short so that I would know right away if film was my calling, because I've always wanted to do some kind of film studies. And I found a few programs in Europe because I wanted it to be not too far. I lived in Canada before, this is how I discovered poutine. But then I moved back to Europe. I discovered Prague, and this was the perfect combination. Like a one-year program with very a big practical component to it, and the city of Prague, which I fell in love with. After that, I decided to stay in Prague for a bit to see if I could get some jobs. So I started as an editor here, so I started to get jobs as editor for small corporate videos and short films, things like that. And then I also got an internship at Barrandov Studios, which is the biggest film studios in Central Europe. I think it still is. Well, they keep growing, but they're massive film studios here. So I got an internship there, so I got to be on some of the biggest sets back then. After that, I contacted the school again, and they were looking for somebody to help them at the time. So with a lot of things ranging from equipment management to editing and so on. So I started to come back to school this time as a staff member. Every new year has new generation, and they think film differently than the previous year. So I think this is always good for me to see and stay in touch with, because if I would be only working in the industry, you lose touch with what is actually the main target audience, which is younger people. You need to see what they are interested in, because this new media now is very important. There's a lot of influences from filming with phones, from internet, from YouTube, and so on. And it's not that it's changing the films that students do for the major part, but there are some things you can see over time, some little trends that you can see over time. For now, for example, it's still one big challenge that we have at the school to train our students to write short stories and stories for short films, because I think everybody's ultimate dream is to make feature films, so they have these stories that would be best suited for feature-length film. But I think with the next generation, like my son's generation, for example, he's 15 years old, and it's very hard for him to, very hard for me, sorry, to drag him to the theater to watch something that's 90 minutes, whereas he's spending maybe 2 hours watching like 10 different stories on YouTube. So I think his creative mind is going to be more molded already for short stories. So I think that's going to come in the future, like shorter stories. Any art job in general, it's you cannot count your hours. So I don't know if he's going to be ready to put that much effort. I mean, you really have to have it really has to be your life and your passion. It's not just work. So I cannot push him to do that or recommend him to go that route. I think he's gonna find it naturally, and then he's gonna realize he's like 35 probably like me now, and realize, oh, okay, maybe I didn't have a weekend for the past 2 years, but it's okay. I don't mind. I did what I like to do. So, but if you don't have that, if you really want your weekends to play video games and go on bike rides and trips, then yeah. So if I have one piece of advice for the future students, It's to set yourself some deadlines. And I know it's common advice, but it's very important for film, because you have to put many pieces together and you have to have deadlines for all these pieces, and you cannot postpone an entire project just because one piece doesn't fit. You have to make it work somehow. When you're scheduled to shoot at a very specific time, you're gonna shoot no matter what. If you're postponing it, it's not gonna make your film better, realistically. People are gonna be, your crew's gonna be focusing on other things, your actors might not be available, something else will fall apart. So set yourself some very strict deadlines and just go ahead and shoot and have fun.